Hey, what's up? This your boy Norris. Welcome back to another sew along. Now today I'll be working on my new Know Me pattern design, which is ME2142. And today we'll be working on view B, which is the baggy pant. Now before we get started, if you're new to sewing or just need a refresher course, you can always go to our online sewing and design school, which is sewingacademy.com. Go there, freshen up on your skills, come back and then sew along with me. Okay, so grab all your tools and supplies and let's get started. Okay, so again, like I said before, today we'll be working on ME2142. And this video will be view B, which are the baggy pant with the panel on that outside sort of seam and a built-in belt. So if you go to the back, you'll see all the pattern suggestions across the top, notions, and then sizes. Once you measure your chest, waist, and hips, it'll give you an idea of where to come and cut out your size. But I will go down further to see finished garment measurements, and it'll tell you basically what that finished garment will be measured when it comes to these sizes right here. All right, so now let's go through all the pattern pieces we'll need for this particular sew along. Okay, so we have the left fly, pattern number 16. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric and 1 out of interfacing. Pattern piece number 15. This is the right fly. You want to cut 2 out of fabric and 1 out of interfacing. Number 20, this will be your carrier for your belt loops. You want to cut 1 out of fabric. Okay, next we have the belt, which is pattern piece number 23. You want to cut 1 out of fabric and then 1 out of interfacing. Okay, so we have pattern piece number 12. This is the front. You want to cut 2 out of fabric. Pattern piece number 17. Now this is the back. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. Okay, so next we have the left waistband, which goes on the left side. You want to cut 1 out of fabric, 1 out of interfacing. And then we have pattern piece number 22, which is the right waistband. You want to cut 1 out of fabric and then also 1 out of interfacing. And then they'll basically connect at the back here. Once you sew them up, right side, left side. Pattern piece number 14, this is the pocket. You want to cut 4 of these out of fabric. All right, so pattern piece number 13, this is your side front. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. Pattern piece number 18, this is your back pocket. You want to cut 2 out of fabric. And then last but not least, we have pattern piece number 19. This is the yoke back. You want to cut 2 of these out of your fabric. Okay, so moving right along, the first thing we're going to do is work on our front pockets. Now, if you look at your outside seam on your front piece, there are 2 dots. You want to go about 1 inch above and also below it with a stay stitch. So just take your biggest length, which is probably 0.05, and then go 1 inch above and go through the marking and go about 1 inch below. That'll just stabilize when we get to cutting into that. So right sides facing, you want to grab one of your pocket bags. And once you're facing right sides facing, there should be a notch in the center. You want to pin there first, and then there are dots. Okay, so now we're going to head to the machine. We're going to stitch from 1 dot to the other dot using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're back from the machine and we have our pocket stitched onto our front. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our scissors and we're going to cut a little slip right to that dot where our stitching starts and stops. Okay, so now we're going to head to the machine. We're going to pull this back, leaving the seam allowance towards the pocket, and we're going to do some understitching. So basically a stitch very close to that seam on the pocket side. All right, so let's go do that, come back, and we'll continue. Now you want to spray it flat because you don't have to press it just yet. Okay, so now that we have the understitching on this side here, we're going to fold everything to the inside like this. And that little slip that you cut out should have it lay flat once you fold it to the inside. All right, so now flip it to the inside. All right, so just like this. Now go ahead and give that a good press, come back and we'll continue. Okay, we gave it a good press.
So now we're going to turn it right back to the other side, the right side, and we're going to head to the machine. You want to top stitch. You want to come out a 1/4 inch, pivot, and go down a 1/4 inch away from this end here, all the way till you get to this corner. Now once you get to this corner, you want to pivot one more time and then go to the corner here. All right, so go ahead and do your top stitching, come back and we'll continue. Okay, on the front you see the nice top stitching, so flip it up with the wrong side facing up of the front piece, and we're going to take our remaining pocket bag and we're just going to lay it over the one that's already here, and there should be double notches for you to pin first, and then we're just going to pin along the curve and this side here. Okay, so we're going to head to the machine and we're going to lift the pocket bags up, both pieces, and we're just going to stitch along here and then along the curve, stopping at the end here. Okay, we're going to do that using 5 8/7 seam allowance. Okay, so moving right along on the side where we attach the pocket, I went ahead and cleaned my seams with a serge. If you have a serger, you can clean that up or use peeking shears if you don't have a serger. So now I'm just gonna lay this back flat, and now we're gonna take our side piece and we're gonna match it up. There should be notches here and also markings for you to pin at. Now when it comes to pinning, we're not going to pin this part of the pocket because we need to keep this open to put our hand in it. So you want to pin, but make sure you don't get the opening of the pocket. Okay, so we're gonna head to the machine. We're gonna stitch starting from the hem, going all the way up. And then once we get to this first marking, we have to be careful to keep the pocket opening away. So once you get close, if you can pull it back without pushing back the pocket and going all the way across, all the way up. So let's go to the machine and do that. Okay, so as we approach that first dot up to the top, you want to make sure that the pocket entrance here is out the way. We don't need to stitch this down at all, so we can kind of cheat it back a little bit without messing it up. Okay, we're back from the machine. I went ahead and pressed that seam towards that side piece right here. And then I did a 1/4 inch top stitch on that center piece side all the way down to the hem. As you can see, it just gives another little layer of detail with the top stitch. Now we're gonna move along to the center front, to the crotch, and then now with right sides facing, this is the right side, and I'm gonna lay this over the top. There should be a notch you want to pin at, and then you want to also pin at that marking. Okay, so we're going to head to the machine and we're going to stitch starting from the notch all the way up to that dot using 5 8/7 seam allowance. Just do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so we're back from the machine. As you can see, we only stitched in those areas from the notch to that marking, and on the right side, the wrong side is facing up, which means this is the front of your pants. This will be the right side, left and right. So on the right seam allowance, since this is the right side of the seam allowance, where that marking is, we're just going to take your scissors and we're just going to slash right to the marking, but not through your stitch. Okay, so not the left, only on the right side. And then now we're going to go ahead, put this to the side for just a minute, and we're going to work on our right fly front. And now this should be interfaced, so right side's facing. We're going to pin. And using 3 8/7 seam allowance, we're just going to stitch starting here and going all the way around the curve up this side here. Do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so we're back from the machine. I'm just going to trim this down just a little bit around the curve. And then we're going to turn it right side out. Just like this. Give it a good press. Come back and we'll continue. Okay, as you can see right here, we have the right side out. We have it pressed. And then also I finish off this edge here with a serge. And then now, because this is the right side, I don't want you to take your eyes off it because I'm about to flip it like this. And now it's on the left side, but it's still our right side when we wear the pant. So now I'm going to move this side out the way. And where that little slit is, we're going to bring the bottom of the fly to that little slit. And then we're going to pin. Okay. So head to the machine. We're just going to stitch this down using 3/8 seam allowance. Okay, moving right along, as you can see, we have the right fly on our right side, which is on the left here. And then on this side here, you want to take the 5/8 seam allowance and press that seam allowance, and then take the raw edge and turn it into that 5/8 crease right here, 5/8 crease right here. And then once you do that, it'll create a double fold. And then you want to give that a really good press. Okay. Now once you give that the press, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this in place. Okay, we're back from the machine. I went ahead and top stitched, as you can see, and it encases that hem really well. And then now we're just going to put this to the side, and we're going to work on the left flap. Now right side is facing. We're going to go ahead and do this, and we're only going to pin along the flat side. Okay, now using 3/8 seam allowance, we're going to go ahead and stitch the straight side, not the curved side. Do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm back from the machine, went ahead and pressed it, and then also I basted it with 5/8 inch, and then I also did a serge, but I left about 1/4 inch from that basting stitch, just so we have some room to stitch. And then do not forget to do your buttonholes. This is the time to do your buttonholes. Look at the manual on your machine if you're not familiar, and you want to go ahead and put your placements, get your pattern. Now in your pattern, you'll have these placements for your buttonholes. Okay, so once you have them, I'm going to slide this over. So now we're going to turn this wrong side faced up. And when it's wrong side faced up, it's going to look like this. This is the right, this is the left. I'm going to flip the right side back. And then now we're going to take this edge here and we're going to put it 1/8 inch away from the center front. Okay? So go ahead and get a nice little placement just to make sure it's not going to move. I'm going to give you two options. You can leave it just like this, head to the machine and just stitch going along that stitching line here that you created from that basting stitch, or just measure from there to there. That's going to be 1.5 inches. So on the right side, making sure everything lays flat. So it's gonna measure 1.5 inches and then just put a little mark all the way down. And that'll let you know where that stitching is. So I'm doing this so we won't have our bobbing stitching on the top. I'd rather see the other stitching on the top instead of doing it face the wrong side up. Okay, so moving right along, I went ahead and did my top stitching, as you can see, and then I pinned it together. And then once you flip it to the back, because Once you pin it together, you'll be able to tack down both of the flies on this side. So when you open it up, it'll stop right where my finger is. You just want to stitch both of them together just so it won't move. And then now once you do all of that, we're going to move on to our back pockets. Okay, so with the back pocket at the top here, I went ahead and fold under 1/4 inch, as you can see right here. And once you press that, you want to fold at the fold line. So I'm going to pin on both sides. Okay, it'll look like this. So now we're going to head to the machine. We're going to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So we're going to start here at the top, and then once we get past that fold, we're going to continue for a guideline for a fold later. Pivot across the bottom, and then up the other side. We're using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm back from the machine. I'm going to turn it upside down like this, just to trim some of this corner. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this right side out, and then take your point turner and push out those corners just like that. Okay, so now this is the wrong side up. So now we're going to press the top, but also we have a guideline where we stitch that to press on the side, the bottom, and then the other side. Now give that a really good press, and once you do that, we're going to stitch across the top, catching that fold underneath as a top stitch. Okay, so do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so we went ahead and pressed the pocket really well, and then we did a top stitch across the top to encase that fold underneath. And then we're going to just take the top corners here, and we're going to place them right where we see our two markings. And then we're just going to put a couple of pins in here to keep it in place. So now we're just going to head to the machine, and we're going to edge stitch all the way around first, except for the top. And then we're going to do a second row of top stitching 1/4 inch away from the first, all the way around, up the other side, and again, leaving the top open. So go ahead and do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so we're back from the machine, and once you do one side, you want to do the other one the same exact way. As you can see on the right side, I have right here. So now we're going to go ahead and take our yoke back. Now it should look like this. The wider part is supposed to be towards the inseam, and then the shorter seam and the shorter part on the outside seam. So now we're just going to turn it right side facing, just like this. There should be a notch. We're going to pin there first and continue pinning across here. Okay, now let's head back to the machine and stitch all the way across using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, as you can see, we have our yoke back attached to our back piece. And then next step, as you can see, I already have my front faced up. Now we're right sides facing. We're going to take your back piece, and we're just going to pin them on the inside seam right now. Okay. So you want to pin your other back piece to the inside seam on the other side the same way, and then just head to the machine and stitch all the way down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so moving right along, as you can see, we have our inside seam sewn. And then before we get to the outside seam, we're going to turn this right side facing, matching up the center seam and also where the crotch is. So this is the front, this is the back. Now at the back, you want to make sure that seam at the yoke, the back yoke matches up. 3 notches here for the back. Also match up the inside seam allowance. So we're just going to start right where we stopped at, where that notch is. We're going to go all the way until we get to the back. So stitch that using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do that, come back, and we'll continue. We're back from the machine. You can see the center seam is done, and I went ahead and serged it and pressed it to one side. And then now what we're gonna do is pin along the outside seam, basically doing the same thing. So let's match up our notches first. Okay, so once you pin one side, you want to pin the other side the same exact way, just like this. And you want to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance from the waist to the hem, and then from the waist to the hem on the other outside seam. Okay, so we're back from the machine. As you can see, we did the outside seam, and then I pressed that towards the inside panel. So now we're just going to move along real quick and work on our carriers. Now I've already pressed mine, so I'm going to open it back up. So you basically just want to press it in half and get that center crease, and then bring both ends to the center and then give it one final press, just like this. Okay, so now head to the machine. You want to stitch on the open side all the way down, and then also you want to edge stitch the folded side just to give it a double stitch all the way down. Okay, so do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so we're back from the machine, and each carrier is supposed to be 3.5 inches. So we should have 6 total, and there are markers to let you know exactly where to put them. Okay, so now let's head to the machine, and we're gonna tack down each one and then come back and work on our waistband. Okay, so we're back. We got all of our carriers attached. So I'm gonna put this to the side for just a moment, and we're gonna work on our waistband. Now this side right here is the left, and then this one is the right. So we're right sides facing. We'll go ahead and match that notch in the center back. Okay, go ahead and stitch this down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Come back and we'll continue. Okay, so I have the right side and the left side, and then I went ahead and pressed that seam open, and the right side is facing. I'm just going to align that back seam together. And also too, just so you know, you should have 5/8 of an inch extend on both your center fronts. Okay, so now head to the machine. You're just going to stitch from one side all the way across to the other side using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do that, come back, and we'll continue. And when you fold it, it'd be nice to have 1/8 of an inch extend. Okay, and that's why I only press 1/2 inch. Okay, head to machine, stitch 5/8 of an inch here and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, as you can see, we're back from the machine. We're gonna go ahead and trim these corners. Okay, so now you want to fold it all the way around to the other side, and we're just going to give this a really good press. And when you press it, you want to make sure that that fold on the inside is just past, maybe 1/8 of an inch past that seam. Okay, so give it a good press, come back, and we're going to prep so we can go stitch in the ditch. Okay, so we've pressed all the way around. As you can see, that waistband is laying flat. I'm just going to put a couple pins in it. And when I pin it, it's going to catch that fold underneath right here. And we're going to stitch on this seam, which is called stitch in the ditch. And it's going to catch the inside and close out the waistband. Okay, let's head to the machine and we're going to stitch in the ditch. Okay, so we're back. As you can see, we have a nice finish inside from stitching in the ditch. You don't see the stitch here, but you see it when it closes out that inside fold. And then now what we're gonna do is you just want to turn up 3/8 of an inch. And then we're going to tack down each one of the carriers. Now, before you do that, if you want to do what they are showing you how to finish the top stitching on the waistband, you can add stitch on the waistband side on both sides and then a 1/4 inch away from the one here and then the one there. That'll give you 2 rows of top stitching on your waistband. And also, because I'm making this out of a silky fabric and not denim, I'm not gonna do the top stitching. I just wanna make it a little bit cleaner, especially on the waistband. And then also too, I went ahead and did my buttonhole for the front, okay? That goes on the left side, which is on the right here. Now, once you do all of that, then you can go ahead and place the rest of your carriers. Now go ahead and add stitch them all the way down for each one, all right? Do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so we have all of our carriers attached. So now we're gonna put this to the side. We're gonna work on our belt real quick. Now, only thing we're gonna do is fold it onto itself. Right side's facing like this. And I'm just going to start pinning as I fold. Okay, so we're gonna head to the machine. We're going to stitch, starting here, pivot, go all the way down. You wanna leave about, I say maybe 4 inches for an opening, and then continue all the way down until you pivot in here, get here to this front corner. So we're gonna use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Come back and we'll continue. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim that corner. And now I'm going to use my point turner again to turn this right side out. Now let's give this a really good press, and feel free to do an edge stitch and then a 1/4 inch top stitch from there, so I have a double top stitch on the belt. I think I'm gonna keep mine plain because of the fabric that I'm using, but you can go ahead and finish yours however you want to. So go ahead, give it a good press, and when you do that edge stitching, if you choose to, it's gonna automatically close out that opening. But you can edge stitch it if you're not doing top stitching, or you can just hand stitch this close, all right? So go ahead, give it a good press, and let's move on to our buckle. Okay, so we're back from getting it pressed. As you can see, nice and clean. And then only thing you have to do now is we're going to put it on the buckle a good 1/2 inch. Just like this. It's gonna look like this on the other side. So we're gonna head to the machine. You just want to top stitch very close to the edge on the bottom, and then another 1/4 inch away from that first one. So do that, come back, and we'll finish up. Okay, I'm back from the machine. As you can see, I did 2 rows of top stitching, which secures the buckle, and your belt is complete. Last but not least, the last few details we need to do is to finish the hem. It's a double fold, 5/8 of an inch. So press 5/8 of an inch, take the raw edge, put it in that crease, and that'll give it a double fold, and then stitch around there, and your hem will be complete. And then up here, you just have to add your buttons. Now you can do denim buttons if you're doing denim. You can do regular sew-on buttons. I think I'm gonna do sew-on buttons, flat ones, for my fly and also my waistband. And then, of course, we've just finished our belt for this. And once you give it a good press and trim your loose threads, you're all done.
All right, congratulations. Now, I hope you enjoyed this course. Be sure to follow me at Norris on all my socials, and also subscribe to his YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video.